Get him. Get him up.
When I first joined the Marine Corps, I was kind of raised right down the street. My mom was tough. My mom was tough on all of me and my four brothers. Everything was on a schedule. Everything was on a regimen. Who was cooking, who was cleaning. So I did good in the Marine Corps. My brothers did good in the Marine Corps. We all did pretty good. I always believed that the old Marine Corps adage, every Marine a rifleman. They teach you that. I was a motor T guy, but they taught you, you know what, you're M16, you got to know your infantry skills. So the whole time I was in the Marine Corps, I knew trucks, I knew everything about moving cargo or people from point A to point B. But what got me through was knowing the tactics and knowing how to do it tactically. I learned a lot from the Vietnam guys. When I was a young kid, 17, 18 years old, my staff and SEALs were Vietnam vets. The stuff we learned was from them. I remember one of the publications was Guerrilla Motor Transport Operations in a Guerrilla Environment. How to move cargo from point A to point B with people shooting at you. But going into Iraq, 2001, September 11th, at that point, everybody in this country knew that at one point in time, we're going to war. Sometime soon, we're going. In the Marine Corps, that's what we train for. That's what we live for. I'm on the edge of my seat. Let's go. All the young kids, you could tell they're all anxiety. Some of the staff at SEALs, some of the young officers, some of the field grade officers, all nervous. They didn't know what to expect. Things started ramping up 2002. We knew we were going. Kuwait, we're locking on bases, we're locking on logistics. Ships are coming in, we're loading, we're sending cargo, advance parties going over. By February 2003, we probably had already 50,000 people in Kuwait in camps throughout the desert. There was probably about 30, 35 different camps in Kuwait. So if you looked at Kuwait, the southern end of Iraq, small little country, you probably saw 30 little dots there. They were all camps. Each camp probably had about 10,000, some of them maybe 15, 20,000 Marines, soldiers, some Navy guys. We had Coast Guard guys down in the ports watching the ships being unloaded and loaded. By March 2003, there was about 100,000 troops, Army, Marines, Air Force, all in these little camps. Every one of them ready to go north. And I can't even remember the date. Everybody probably remembers the date that the missile started flying, but it was all one big haze to me. I just remember going days without sleep, just training troops, just getting these kids ready for what's going to happen. Sit in my Humvee, train north, had my radio handset clipped in my helmet strap, had my pistol on my side, had my driver's M16 right here. I'm looking at Safwan Hill in the southern part of Iraq. And in front of me was an Army MLRS battalion, probably 2 or 3 Marine artillery battalions, and all around were just them little dots in the desert. And I was kind of up on a little hill, a few other Humvees around me. I'm just listening to the radios, I'm switching channels, and I'm just listening to this about 2300 at night, and it was exciting. I said, this is what we trained for. I saw combat in Somalia. A lot of the kids would ask me questions about it. And I said, you know, it's the most exhilarating experience of your life, but it's the thing that's going to keep you awake every night from that point on. And by God, I'll tell you, them young kids, every one of the kids I knew, they performed magnificently under fire. Young American kids, they did a good job. But I remember that night, probably about midnight, shortly thereafter, 0030, the MLRS started just firing rockets. You know, they're not going to reach Baghdad, but they'll hit Nasiriyah, they'll hit some of the other places. I remember General Mattis, the commanding general, 1st Marine Division, he said, Safwan Hill, you better be a foot short in the morning. Safwan Hill, they leveled that thing. Maybe some of you guys were there. First Recon Battalion went up there, they checked it all out, nothing left alive. That was because the MLRS, all the artillery guys from there, in the morning, it was like the Baghdad Grand Prix, that's what we call it. It was assholes and elbows, everybody hauling butt to Baghdad. It was convoys, just more gear, just hauling butt north. Anybody who's been to Iraq, some of the things you remember is picking up embedded reporters. How many times you see this guy's SUV, a Pajero, with some civilian guy with a ponytail hitchhiking, because he's got a camera crew with him, and his battalion left him because his SUV hit a flat tire. Everybody picked up a reporter, brought him somewhere. Everybody picked up Army guys. Some guys are all over, sorry. They're all over. Their vehicles break down, and son of a gun, if you would just leave, we just pick them up, we'll take them in. We'll bring them home too. But everybody remembers that stuff. I'll tell a funny story. My second trip, I went back in 2004. Fallujah was under siege. They were getting rockets and mortars every day, probably 2 or 3 times a day. And they're losing, young Marines get, people getting hurt. I was down there for about a week doing a liaison thing. And one morning, get up, so I'm going to go brush my teeth, go brush my fangs, scrub my ass, go in a hygiene can to the trailer, stand there and brush my teeth next to the Fifth Marines Chapel. Got a lieutenant commander next to me, I'm feeling pretty good, he's a chaplain. Well, in come the rockets. You got break these damn things. So I'm sitting there brushing my teeth, and what's going to happen, I'm brushing. If I'm going to die, I'm going to have clean teeth. Brush my fangs, I'm done. I look over at the Padre, what do you think? He says, let's go. So we walk out the door, there's a bunch of Marines standing outside. And they're just standing there. And they're like, what the heck? We walk out, it's like they're greeting us. They're all looking at the ground, they're not looking at us. A rocket came in, it hit the ground, and it skidded across and stopped right underneath that can. And I looked at the chaplain and I said, good God, I'm lucky you're with me. But I got to tell you, what I take away from that is that all these young kids, every one of them after 9/11, every one of these kids knew that someday they're going to war. Every one of them kids enlisted in whatever branch of the service, every one of them knew that one day they're going to be on the business end of that rifle, and they still did it. And today they're still doing it, and they're going there, and every one of them did a great job. Young kids, 17, 18-year-old kids, just doing a great job for our country. And I think those are the young kids that deserve probably the kudos. Those are the ones who deserve the pat on the back when you go out and about. Some young kids, because the VA, it is not doing enough for them. I'll tell you that right now. It's groups of veterans, it's groups of people that are doing the most for the young kids, but we probably need to do more for them. We lose more veterans from suicide, young kids. We're losing a few of them a day from just suicide, PTSD.
20 seconds.
Yep.
22 a day.
Yep.
What's that?
22 a day.
22 young kids a day coming back. So if you see a young kid, do more than thanks for your service. It takes more than thanks for the service. How many times I hear thanks for this? I don't even want to hear it anymore. Do something for a young kid. Say, hey, what do you need, man? Do you need a freaking job? Do you need you see a kid broke down in mid-cape, he's got a sticker from he maybe served, pull over. Maybe he needs a hand changing the tire. That could be the thing that sends him the other way. But I think we got to do more to help the young kids. And
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, what's next? All right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the Afghanistan conflict. No, I hope these things end. This isn't like a sporting event. Every year that the Patriots are going to come out, or every year the Bruins are going to do good. I mean, this isn't a sport. This is life and death. And we don't need these wars. A lot of people say, why are we over there? What are we doing this for? There's reasons. It's out of my control. It's out of your control. But I guess somebody has to do it. Last year, my wife and I went up to Syracuse, New York, with our camper and motorcycle. We went to visit my friend David Kleiss and his wife, just to go sightseeing, see New York, upstate New York, have some fun. But we also met his wife's sister, David's sister-in-law. But her husband was not there. He was overseas. And she was very anxious. It was getting close to the time where he was going to come home. And I noticed something that I don't see every day. A mother or a father, but in this particular case, a wife of a veteran overseas. Every day she was watching the news. Was it for the sports scores? Wasn't looking for the weather. I don't think she wanted to see her husband's face on that screen or hear any bad news, but she couldn't help it, because that's what you do for your loved one. You worry, and you worry, and you worry, and you worry. It's just natural. I never met her husband until 2 days ago. He came home this past January, did his tour over in Afghanistan. He's a very, very special guy. His wife's a very special person. They opened up their heart for us and invited us into their home. And he's been doing a number of years in the Army, and he's not given up. What I'd like to do is bring up my next guest and let him explain himself. And I'm honored to have him here tonight, Mr. Bob Verdon. Wait a minute. First Sergeant Bob Verdon.
That's his wife.
I've been at this ship for 79, I joined the Army. Went to Germany for 3 years. I was a mechanic. But no TFL mechanics. I used to work on 113 zone. It's one of those kind of Amtrak you guys all talk about all this time. That was right. I was an operator of a recovery vehicle that recovered those. They call me 113 APCs. 578 was the recovery vehicle that towed them around. So, I spent 3 years in Germany. Came home. I had a motorcycle while I was in Germany. I did not want to deal with that crap anymore. It was pretty rough on us. So I got out. Got in the National Guard. Come home in May of '83 and July of '83, I was home to the first summer camp on the National Guards. And years ago, in '83, the National Guard went to the summer camp and drank. All right, we had more beer in our vehicles than we had oil and parts and all that. But 10 years of that, the Army decided, look, they represent us, you gotta go to work up the street and stuff like that. We train like soldiers. But anyway, 2009-11, I was in Fort Drum at summer camp. We all thought we were going to go right from there right to Iraq, whatever. Who knows? We didn't know what we were going. We thought we were going somewhere. Actually, what we did, I think every soldier in New York State from September 9/11 to the next couple, 3 years, spent some time in New York City. I went down there myself and watched, recovering the bodies. And, it was pretty rough. It was pretty tough. It's a smell you'll never forget. I can't explain to you how terrific that was. 2003, I'm back in National Guard, just doing my thing, and motor sergeant. It's Fighting 69th, I don't know if you ever heard of the Fighting 69th out of New York City. Colonel Slack was their commander, battalion commander. We needed a mechanic in one of the companies. So they pulled guard guys, they pulled guard guys from all over the state to fill them slots. So I spent 3 years in a year. Well, actually, at that time, it was 18 months, we got activated. We went down to the boat site in Texas, Fort Hood, Texas. We were down there for 3 months, trained with the infantry battalion. We were assigned to the 256 BCT out of Louisiana. And that was pretty rugged. Those southern guys really liked this Yankee guy pretty well. But after a while, we got along, you know. Anyway, we went to Iraq, and I don't know if you guys ever heard of Route Irish or not. Route Irish was a stretch of road in Baghdad that all the dignitaries, whenever they came into Iraq, they go down through Route Irish, the Green Zone. And that's what it was always IEDs on there all the time. We lost 19 guys in Iraq. Where was I going with that? Anyway, what I do want to say about Iraq, when we were over there, it was pretty rugged. It was 2004, 2005 was one of the worst. It was a rough years. Anyway, there's a lot of people that killed. We were assigned to the 256, like I was saying. One of the situations we had over there was, I don't know if you guys know about Bradley, you know what Bradley is? Kind of a high-speed 113, basically. A little faster, got a bigger gun on it, 30 millimeter, I think, I'm not sure. Anyway, those guys set up one of the IEDs out there, and that Bradley's 11 tons. That thing went off underneath that Bradley, and it picked it right up, upside down in the canal. Every one of them did. I mean, they didn't do it. Don't forget that stuff. Anyway, we got back. You just guys bear with me here. I'm just thinking about things that I want to